Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll be live streaming some of my all-time favorite video games right here on Friday, August 31st from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Time, so I hope you'll join me for that. We've got a ton going on here at Spirit Blade Productions and Christian Geek Central, including our in-depth Bible study for geeks, movie, game, and other entertainment reviews or commentary, live streams, Christian geek news, original audio dramas, and tons more. And on top of all that, you can become a Spirit Blade Insider with an influential voice and get access to exclusive content and rewards. It's your involvement as a patron that will keep all of this going and growing, so I want to thank you for your consideration in that. For more information, please check out our Patreon page through the link below at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Thanks for listening. Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about kin? Stick around and find out. Here's a story of a man named Harley who was raising two boys of his own. They were poor men living all together until the older brother went to jail for a while, and then he came back and things got really messy, and that's kind of where the story begins. The Selinsky bunch. Da-da-da-da-da. The Selinsky bunch. Da-da-da-da-da. All right, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions, here with my uncut review of Kin. The synopsis on IMDb reads, chased by a vengeful criminal, the feds, and a gang of otherworldly soldiers, a recently released ex-con and his adopted teenage brother are forced to go on the run with a weapon of mysterious origin as their only protection. Okay, so the tone, the basic, like, what is this experience going to be kind of thing, I would describe it as an urban drama with a strong injection of sci-fi. And I think if you go in with that expectation, you probably won't be disappointed compared to if you go in and say, oh boy, I saw some cool sci-fi in the trailer, this is going to be like a sci-fi action, da-da-da. No, it's not that. It's largely leveraging the strengths of kind of just a very grounded urban drama, but peppered throughout pretty consistently, although I wouldn't say frequently, are these big moments of sci-fi tech and explosion-y things and stuff like that. It's really a movie about broken people living broken lives, dealing with the fallout of their unwise choices and the unwise choices of those that are closest to them. It's also kind of a rogues on the run road trip movie. So it's got these different elements that are kind of combining together that make it a bit unique, I think, and I appreciate that. The drama and the suspense come from really a street level kind of sense of real world dangers that the characters are either avoiding or sometimes willingly heading into because of something that they want to get out of that encounter. And there's also tension felt because of the lies being told between characters that we know have to come out in the end, but in the meantime we see the lies being told and everything's good in the short term as a result between these characters, but we know it's got to come out in the end. And so there's that kind of tension as well in the story. There are bursts of sci-fi action and spectacle, but like I said, not frequently. And yet that lack of frequency really made those scenes more powerful to me because of how they just invaded this otherwise very grounded urban drama. You know, one thing that I appreciate about the way that they balance the sci-fi with the real world kind of situations, as extreme as those real world situations are, is that, you know, if this were a kid's movie, because the movie focuses really on this 14-year-old protagonist, and if this were a kid's movie, then he would kind of be a lot more invincible, and the adults would all be kind of buffoons and stuff like that. But no, he's got this technology that has tremendous offensive capability, but no defensive capability. And so he is still just as vulnerable to real-world gunshot wounds and stuff like that, you know. So even though there's this power fantasy, which, you know, I really like sci-fi and fantasy for, there's still this real tension that comes from the reality that this kid is vulnerable just like anyone else, even though he's got this really awesome sci-fi weapon. More than anything, it's a movie, I think, about family and the difficulty of having hard relationships or familial responsibilities that are sort of built into our lives that we can't escape, and we have to deal with them. I did get pulled out of the movie, and the sense of like kind of realism that I was feeling as I was watching it during one sequence that featured a lot of police officers that I felt like the sequence made them seem a bit inept, and made one in particular seem to lack good judgment or realistic judgment in how he responded to a request from the 14-year-old protagonist. It was a brief couple of moments that just felt just a tiny bit like a slice from a kid's movie that, does make the adults look like buffoons and the kids the capable heroes and stuff like that. It wasn't a moment like where they went full on in that direction. It was just a couple of moments where like the needle swerved that way in that direction just a little bit, and I was like, all right, and then it was back to, all the other things about the movie really firing on all cylinders dramatically and working for me. So just a tiny moment there. In the final scenes, it opens up a lot more in the area of science fiction happenings, and it left me with the strong impression that this is the start of a film franchise, which I wouldn't have expected, given, the feel of this movie throughout as being this kind of unusual urban drama with, bits of, large bits of sci-fi thrown in, throughout. It just seems, I don't want to say more because I don't want to imply where the direction in the films might go. I would love to see more movies about some of these characters, and especially if they can find a way to keep future films grounded in the family and relationship drama that this one, I think, was really leveraging. As far as the cast, I didn't feel like there were any weak links in the cast, so that was great. It was really solid to me. The story focuses on Eli Selinsky, played by newcomer Miles Truitt, who really felt it seemed like he was up for the everything that the role called for. His older ex-con brother is played by Jack Rayner, who also felt really suited to the role. And but I would say that the standouts were Dennis Quaid, who brought heart in his role as a hardened and yet at the same time broken dad trying his best to raise his son. And then also James Franco, who plays the vengeful gang leader keeping the brothers on the run. He's very charismatic and weird as James Franco can be when he's doing these kind of character roles, so I thought he was really well suited to that. As far as the stunts and visuals go, as I said, the moments of spectacle aren't frequent, but they really worked for me. They used a combination of CGI energy effects and very practical on-set explosives and destruction and stuff like that. So I felt like the philosophy they used to approach the visual effects really captured and represented this invasion of otherworldly fantastical tech into this very real-world environment, And near the end, some CGI actor replacement was used that did make me shrug a little bit. It's like, yeah, okay, well, we're still here where they look kind of plastic, when they replace actors with CGI. But my eye is cursed to notice the fakeness of CGI, so many others may not notice that at all. As far as the themes in this movie, is there anything of moral, philosophical, spiritual significance going on in the themes of this movie that might stimulate worthwhile thought or conversation between people after seeing this movie? I think there's a good chance of that. The movie has a moral center, and even links Christian faith to it near the beginning, as we see clear indications that this family, at least at some point in its past, maybe less so now, had a Catholic background. But and even so, even if it's lessened over time, they still seem to be hanging on to that faith in some form, because there's a character who, as dysfunctional as he is still wearing a crucifix around his neck. There's also a crucifix hanging on the wall that was zoomed in on, I think, in very intentionally in a scene in the dining room. So I think that at the very least they're trying to portray that whatever their beliefs currently are, this is a family that in its inception really had some absolute morals that were providing the foundation for what they wanted their family to be. The foolishness and short-sighted immorality of the ex-con brother is almost constantly an implied subject, I think. He is suffering in this movie from many years of bad choices and the consequences of those, and is now bringing those consequences onto his family as collateral damage. And a moment near the end of the movie clearly upholds the the importance of making the right choices, even though they are usually the hard choices. Now, I am a little bummed at the inconsistency of how morality was upheld in one scene. The characters are in a PG-13 strip club. I call it that because there's no actual nudity. I don't know if it's like non-nude strip clubs, quote-unquote, actually exist, but I assume they don't, and then that's a little kind of a lack of realism here. Anyway, the script seems to clearly, I'm going to circle back around to that in a second. The script seems to clearly communicate that at the very least, this strip club is no place for a 14-year-old to be. And it also seems to imply that women are objectified in this profession. They can even be victimized in this profession. So it seemed to be making moral commentary about the objectification of women, and yet the camera has no qualms about giving full attention to and focusing in on the body of a dancer's routine. This kind of scene can be easily shot without objectifying the actress on set and in theaters and homes across the world. In fact, circling back to the absence of nudity in the scene, which, don't get me wrong, I'm saying good. I don't want to see that on screen. I can think, though, of how to shoot that scene so that the dancers on stage as characters are understood to be nude, and therefore lending itself to realism a little more, I think, without actually showing a hint of nudity at all. You can do things with the camera that make it clear, okay, they're looking at a naked woman without ever showing anything, with hardly showing that woman at all. Nudity and sexuality can easily be subjects in a story without asking actors to be nude on set or skimpily dressed on set, or sexually objectify themselves to anyone. But even filmmakers promoting messages against female objectification still seem to fall into these objectifying habits, sometimes in the same breath that they want to speak against them. So I'm at a loss. I don't get it. I don't know if it's because they're too desensitized to it and don't even see what's going on right in front of them. I really am at a loss. Setting that scene aside, however, the themes of family and moral responsibility were a strong part, I felt, of the emotional core of this movie that I really appreciated. Now, I have no idea what your tastes in movies are, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, dude, see if you can see this one with Holly in theaters. This might be one that she would appreciate, or at least plan to Instabuy on Blu-ray. This is a close second for you, second only to Upgrade, as a competition for your movie of the year. This was really enjoyable. You're really this is your type of movie, Peter. It's rated PG-13 for gun violence and intense action, suggestive material, language, thematic elements, and drinking. All right, those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. I'm doing a live stream tonight featuring some of my all-time favorite video games that I'm going to play for you guys while I'm chatting with you and talking about why I like these games and whatever else might be on your mind. That's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific right here on youtube.com/christiangeekcentral. I hope you'll join us for that as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. Oh, jeez! Oh, jeez!
Mission in Section F.
What the crap? Oh my gosh! Super intimidating. Oh jeez! I didn't know. I didn't know that was gonna bother you so much. It's because I killed your boyfriend, huh? I got your skin too now. I don't feel right. Gotta be reflexible. Oh, jeez! I'm lacking some serious brain functionality.